You know the story that in 2021 I entered for Miss Mpumalanga, and then I lost.
You lost?
I didn't win. Actually,
you came back again?
Yes, I was a returning contestant. You remember?
Really?
I had entered Claude the year in 2021. Claude is the one who took the crown. That's how I knew her. And then in 2023 I came back. That's when I won. So I remember in 2021 I was advocating for gender-based violence, and my prejudging interview was quite harsh. I walked out of that interview room crying because I think now I understand better, because at that point there was a bit of a gender-based violence situation at home.
I was thinking about this since I shot last week's episode in Luncheon. I want you to get yourself a t-shirt, Esona, have it printed out, and it's going to be the luncheon with Boka. So this is mine.
This is yours.
You're going to get yours. The brand is the luncheon, but the job is you.
Yeah,
your name
me.
is your commitment to it. So I want you to please purchase your t-shirt. I'll get it done for you for 250.
Okay.
And then wherever you go, you do that. We're forming a community, we're forming a movement.
Yeah.
Is that doable?
One of the scariest things for me is having a child, but like,
why?
At 23, I'm so scared.
You feel like he's teenage pregnant?
Yeah, it actually still feels like, you know, when I feel like people might have this thing, but you're probably sexually active, but as a woman, no, I am. When you actually fall pregnant as a woman, it's evidence that you are doing it and you're not protecting yourself. So those are one of the scariest things for me.
The luncheon with Boka.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, thank you so much for making time, man.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
How's life? How are you? How's everything? It's been a long time since you last spoke, okay?
Yeah, it's been quite a long time. I think life, man, hurdles here and there. We're trying to make it each and every single day. But we're trying, we're pushing.
Konji, you're studying law?
Nope.
Not yet.
That's the saddest part of everything, actually.
Yeah,
because I think like I moved 10 steps backwards because I was supposed to graduate this year, but obviously because of I had to be Miss Mpumalanga, I had to pause my studies, change institutions, didn't get credited for other modules, but it's okay.
It's okay. Like we have to make it work. We're still young. That's what I always say. People say, "No, as here, and then I'm like, I'm only 23, guys. There's so much to do.
You're 20?
Boka, I'm 23 years old. I'm 23 years old, bro.
We're actually the same age.
Really? 2001? Smart 2000 after all.
I don't know. You're 2001?
No, yes.
So when are you turning 24?
I'm turning 24 in August.
Sure.
It's crazy,
tomorrow,
right?
I'm turning 24 tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yes, it's my birthday.
Jeez. We must ask these guys to get you something.
Please, I need a cake.
Or some ice cream, right? I'll speak to the guys there.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for making time to speak to us, man. It's the luncheon and we're rolling.
Yeah.
Mina, I always say, with Unzako last time, I was telling her that I only knew her when we got to know each other through pageantry, because I was emceeing the Miss Mpumalanga in 2021, 2022.
The Mrs. Mpumalanga.
Yeah, I was MC for them.
You've been quite big for quite some time.
Quite big. I was so small. I think I was fresh out of high school. Then I spoke to them and they invited me and I MC'd there. That was the first time I met Unzako. And I think I met you for the first time after your crowning. But I was honestly before your crowning.
I think I've seen you on Zako statuses for the time you were emceeing her event. Do you remember? Actually, the first day that we met
was that day.
Yeah, it was that day. That's when I saw you.
Yeah, but who is Boka? Who is Boka? Who are you? Where are you from? What was it like growing up? I know you're from Wandebele.
Yeah. I guess
There's also a little bit
So I'm actually from Kwamhlanga in Kwandebele. It's a diversified community. Angazi ukuthi ngiyibiza ukuthi it's a rural area or what is it, but Kwandebele, it's the heart of Ndebele people. So a lot of people actually don't know what Mapedi are in Kwandebele. They get shocked whenever I say, because Sinabo Machika, Bamandebele, Leba Mapedi.
Really?
So whenever I say I'm Bokamoso Machika, they're like, I'll sing the baby. No, to me, baby. So yeah, growing up in Kwamhlanga has been nice. I think the one thing I learned was that Ndebele people, they don't compromise when coming to their languages. Hence, I had to learn to speak Isindebele. And every time you meet a person who's Ndebele speaking, they actually think, actually, couldn't miss Ndebele. And then I'm like, no, Kimopedi. When I switch accents, they're like, oh, it makes sense. So I'm just a girl from Kwamhlanga, man. Grew up there until I moved to Pretoria, Nelspruit. Then
yeah. And you went to school Kwamhlanga,
I went to school in Kwamhlanga. I actually, Skolo Sami, it's behind Ekaya.
Really?
So it was just like a walking distance and Pume Gate in school. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so Usakula Njalo, family structure. I know you have 2 younger sisters.
Yes.
Well, I saw that on your status, really.
I do. I'm actually the second of 5 siblings. I have a brother and my little brother, 2 younger sisters. Family structure. I grew up in a family where I've got both parents in the house until 2019 when my father left home for his own reasons, obviously. We're not going to get into that. But yeah, that's how I grew up. From 2019, we've been living with my mother thus far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's 5 kids, parents, and just that.
Yeah, just that. And it's actually weird. I always say that Ekaya, I'm the only one who's saved. Because from a very young age, they didn't go to church, but I started going to church at a very young age. Born on Sundays, until recently my little sister got saved.
Yeah.
Both of them actually. Yeah, so now they've joined it.
And if we can, so I think, I know, man. Hey, there's so much to speak about. Hey, Lento Zona made me want to ask so much more. So when did you get saved? Like accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior. So it wasn't a thing in Kaya. When did you decide?
It wasn't a thing. At a very young age, I remember there's this girl who's Zulu. She lives on the same street as me and her little sister. Every single Sunday, they used to go to the ZCC church. But because every single day, every single Sunday, I see Tulu walking up the street with her little sister dressed up. I'm like, I want to go there. And then Uzo, I'm my keyboard, Akala, because the church was just up there by the corner. And I'm like, I actually want to go there. But my father was so strict when coming to religion. I was like, come on, kid, this is the church that we go to. Nobody. But every single time I would sneak out. And then eventually at the age of 13, got saved, got baptized, and then I never looked back. And eventually my father had to accept that you guys are saying Remazet Sisi, but you're not even going to that very same church that you say in this house we go to.
Yeah.
And they let me roll with it. Yeah.
And you've just been a Jesus girl.
I've just been a Jesus girl ever since.
We're the same age, which means you also matriculated in 2019.
No, I didn't matriculate in 2019. I actually matriculated in 2020 because I failed my grade 10. Very weird.
What was that? What happened? I was cooking. I want to hear that.
Yo, what happened? Actually, I think most people don't even know this because I've always been the smartest girl in high school, became the first female RCL president. And I think when I got to grade 10, because I was the smart girl, all the teachers thought I'm going to actually do well in science. Then I remember my EMS teacher was like, you know what, you're very good with EMS. Automatically, she thought I'm going to be good with accounting. Little did she know. Well, I went to do science. Now figure, obviously, because sometimes when you come with the mentality that I'm so smart, you don't put in the word.
Effort,
You're just like, everything is going to work out. But I failed grade 10. After that, I repeated it. I changed the stream to agriculture. I can't remember. When I got to grade 11, I totally changed the science stream. I went to general stream where I did about geography, tourism, And I excelled quite well. I was like, I wasted my time with going to science.
To science.
Yeah.
And how did it feel? Like, did you feel bad? Did you cry? How was your mental health?
Sure. At that time, I remember there was even a strike at our school. We even went to the circuit because I was like, there's no way I could fake. There has to be something. There was a thing that gune glitch with the system. So I was like, no, it has to be a glitch on my side. But when we got to the circuit, actually I realized that I actually failed because I'm not good with numbers. I'm not good with maths. Anything with language, yes, but with maths, no, it's not my specialty.
Then how did you get redirected into finding what you actually are good at? What are you good at, in fact?
I'm good at speaking.
Tell me I know.
Yeah, I think I'm very good at speaking and writing as well. And singing as well. A whole other things, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually good at that. I don't know how I got redirected, but I think it has always been my strongest point that whenever I speak, even in high school, I always command attention. I always command people to listen. And that on its own is what made me the president. So, yeah.
So were you like one of those, Ifuna, am I right way to like those advocates and those people in class that fight for stuff? Or was it just...
I was actually very smart about it. The teachers thought I was on their side. The learners thought I was on their side. I remember I once told the learners, you know what, because you remember there was a time where the educational system was like, they need to get rid of pit toilets in schools because kids bebashona eskolweni because of pit toilet, and then they introduced these other toilets where you can flush and so forth. So I remember they built those toilets for us, and then we didn't have water at school. And then you can imagine feminine hygiene. Girls didn't have anywhere they can throw their pads. Every time they go on their periods, it means they have to be absent at school because where are you going to throw your pads? And it was very bad, actually. I remember telling all the leaders that we need to strike, but we have to be quiet about it. And then I met this other guy, Ongani Mtimunye from Daily Sun. I don't know where I got his numbers at that time, but I actually managed to get his numbers. And then I told the teachers that, you know what, we need toilets. And they were so relaxed about it until we went on a strike. And then they were like, no, we're trusting you to go and calm it down. But I went to the learners, I was like, we are not calming down until they do this. Nina continue. And then when I go to the teachers, I was like, no, I spoke to them.
They don't want.
They don't want to. But eventually we got what we wanted.
Yeah.
They gave us water. They made alternatives for us to have water because we struggle with water in Kamsani. But it shouldn't be a school thing. I mean, didn't make sense by then.
And then speak to me now also about your pageantry. Well, like when did you become a pageant? Because I know you know quite a few people in the pageantry space, also back home. But as I say, Mina Ngwazi, I saw your pictures, social media, crowning Miss Mpumalanga, Bokamoso Machika, and I'm like, But Umuntu Mangamazi, I think I was rooting for. Was it the same? Were you in the same Nabokamu?
Yes, Kamu from Wheatbank. Yeah.
She was the only one I knew because she's from home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I was like, Boka. And when you were crowned, I was like, yeah. And then I made sure I'm like, yeah.
I started pageantry in 2010. I was still in primary school. I remember, with pageantry, and I think it's so sad that I feel like the strides that have been made in the world of pageantry, they're just getting washed away as time goes on. Back then, you had to be tall, light-skinned, beautiful. And growing up, I wasn't one of the beautiful girls, believe me. I wasn't categorized amongst those beautiful girls. I remember my first pageant, Miss Mpumalanga Primary School, is actually where I started my primary. And when I entered, I can't even forget his name.
Who is he?
I remember I was walking on stage. And then this guy threw a stone at me. There was another thing, was a primary. Who's in a cultural day.
Yeah. Nicola culture. September.
You walk on
the ground.
Ground. Then this guy was like, I was seeing and I win. Surprisingly, I did win. And then I went on to go to high school. When I got to high school, when you don't have the resources. When you get to high school, that's when you realize that you're not the it girl. Because, I wasn't. So My teachers, when they were actually scouting for Miss Mpumalanga Secondary School, what they did, they went into classes and then they make all the girls stand up. They choose us according to our body shapes. You're going to enter. They don't ask us voluntarily to enter. And then that's when I decided, you know what, let me try it. I entered.
So they chose you?
Yes, they chose.
But you had a good body then?
Yeah, they said, you have a good body. It wasn't even about intelligence because I knew I was smart, but the most beautiful girl is actually the one that won. I just became the second runner-up, but then I entered.
Was she light in complexion?
Yes, she was light in complexion, yeah. In 2017, I entered again. And then I became Miss Mpumalanga Secondary School. From there, I started entering local pageants and so forth. It hasn't been an easy journey because every single time I'd walk into a room and I'd see that I'm very much different. I'm not the most beautiful girl, don't have the nicest pair of heels. And I remember thinking to myself that the only way one could actually, because there were thoughts of giving up as to say I don't fit into the space, but I remember thinking to myself the only way to change such a space is if I become the first one who's not good looking to change the narrative around pageantry. And eventually the smart girls who don't have the looks, who don't have the bodies that society deems good enough for pageantry, they started following suit. And then
so you feel like you were one of the change makers in that space?
Yeah, definitely, particularly in Kwandebele.
Yeah,
because in Kwandebele they are actually huge advocates for plus size pageants. They actually cater for them, and I love the fact that they don't do plus size pageants aside. They just mix them with the entire. If you have a bigger body, it's okay. You can just join all the other girls.
And have you seen more girls, like chubbier girls, winning since your reign, or has it just been a mixed?
I've seen them placing in the top 3, but as queens, it hardly happens.
So there still is a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, it still is a lot of work to be done. Because I remember there's a friend of mine whom the little sister is very chubby. She's in grade 7 and she loves pageantry. I remember her saying, no, my little sister should actually start working out. I'm like, she's just a child. You can't require a child who's in grade 7 who's passionate about this to go. Because I feel like you're channeling her to say, you're not going to fit here because of your body type. Therefore, change yourself so that society can accept you. If she wants to be in pageantry, let her be. She might be the change maker, actually.
In her own department.
Yeah, in her own department.
Now that we're speaking about change, I think I'm curious to know, what have you always been advocating for? Like, did it change over time? You know, Mongena pageants, they want you to know, do you want menstrual health or mental health or what?
I think
inclusivity.
I think you can also relate better with pageantry because siyakula. I mean, the 13-year-old Sia is not the Sia that we see right now. You probably had a passion project back then, but I remember you know the story that in 2021 I entered for Miss Mpumalanga, and then I lost.
You lost?
I didn't win. Actually,
you came back again?
Yes, I was a returning contestant. You remember?
Really?
I had entered Claude the year in 2021. Claude is the one who took the crown. That's how I knew her. And then in 2023, I came back. That's when I won. So I remember in 2021, I was advocating for gender-based violence. And my prejudging interview was quite harsh. I walked out of that interview room crying because I think now I understand better, because at that point, there was a bit of a gender-based violence situation at home. So I was actually speaking from a place of being heard, and some of the things I was not seeing them clearly. So whenever the judges would ask me questions, I'd feel like they are taking me personally without even them knowing what I'm going through. You get it? So I realized that sometimes you speak about certain things much better when you speak from a place of healing other than from a place of being heard, because anything that you can say, which is your perspective, could really trigger me. Then it changed. Eventually I moved on to substance abuse. Of course, I advocate for women in all spheres, but this one in particular is closest to my heart. When I started this program, Tolobili program, is actually named after my brother, who is a victim of drug abuse. And it's been going on for quite some years. And the reason I started it is because Kwamhlanga is actually one
The
of the
hub.
biggest
Yeah.
hotspot of drug addiction in Mpumalanga. So when I started the program, I was like, you know what? We have Abosanka, we have a lot of programs, but people actually don't know anything
Yeah.
about these organizations, and I felt like I could be the link between these two people. That, you know, I'm looking for people who are survivors in drug addiction, people who are actually in drug addiction, who are addicted, also families, because the truth is that when you have somebody at home who is addicted to substance abuse, it could be alcohol or drugs, it also affects you. My brother used to steal for us at home. Despite that, we love him, but it was also hurting us at some point. And because things like that. He almost lost his life before he could actually recover. But it took that to happen for him to actually recover from drugs. So yeah.
And how did that make you feel? Like as a sister, is it your big brother?
Yeah, as my big brother. I think I don't know, you know, when they say we grew up in the same family, we experienced the same abuse, but at the end of the day, the decision is yours on how you want to live your life.
Yeah.
Just because our parents harmed us, I didn't choose to go and lean on to something else. But I understand that a boy child can never be like a girl child. And obviously for him, because everything that affected him came from a father figure, it could have touched him differently, that he had to lean on to drugs other than myself. But in any case, it was so painful to see my brother. He's one of the smartest guys that I know. One of the smartest.
Academically.
Yeah, academically, he's so smart. And seeing that his future just like, yeah, it was so sad for me. He had big plans. My mother always said that, you know what, of all my children, he was always the one saying, I'm going to take you out of this situation. I'm going. And seeing that happen, it was so sad. But I still believe God for restoration with his life. Yeah, anything is possible.
Do you mind sharing what your brother is living like now? Where is he now?
He's actually at home. He got assaulted in 2023 in September, and then he got hospitalized. You remember there was a time where you and I were communicating, and then I told you I was in Witbeck Hospital.
Ah, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, the doctors were saying he's not going to be able to walk, to speak, like he was going to be paralyzed. But you know, when God is like, no, not for you. Definitely we prayed for him, and then he recovered. Yes, his hand is paralyzed, but he can now speak, he can now walk. He's at home and he's trying to recover, but he's still saying, I still want to go back to school. I still want to go back to school. He hasn't completed his matric, but that's also what I want for him, that he should just go back, because it's never too late, man. He's still young nonetheless, So he will recover. He's no longer into drugs. He's not even smoking a single cigarette. He's clean. It's been over a year now.
And that was one of your advocacies at some point. Do you feel like most advocates are, I'm saying this because now I'm relating and I'm thinking about it. We advocate for stuff because we have a bird's eye, not only like a third party's perspective at it, it's because we are in those things.
Yeah.
Do you think all of the stuff that you've advocated for was because you were experiencing those things at some point?
Yeah, I think it was because of that. I feel like when you have experienced something, you speak better about it, and you're not going to step on anybody's toes because you know how it feels like to actually be it. People say if you haven't experienced something, don't speak louder than the ones that have experienced it, because if you do, you're speaking from an outside perspective. You don't know how it actually feels like. Hence I'm saying you should first heal. After you've healed, now you can be able to have a different perspective as to say, okay, this is how it feels like when I'm in it. This is how it feels like when I'm out. I actually want to hear from you. Why do you want to feed the homeless? Why actually did you start that? Have you ever experienced that? Or is it that it touches you? I know that you can walk by the street and see somebody who's hungry and it touches you, but why then?
Yo, in terms of turning very fast, I think with me, I've never really experienced hunger in life. And I think I have my mom to be grateful for with that. I grew up and my mom So my mom was a single parent. My father just, nobody knows where he was, but he was working wherever he was, and they were never together really. My biological father and my mom.
But you turned out so well.
Right?
Yeah, you did.
So I wouldn't really say, and I think this goes back to why I asked you, listen to always advocate till I listen to always experience it, because I didn't really experience hunger in life. Like my mom always made a plan.
Yeah.
Always. And I went to like one of the top schools that we beg. Like I've turned out, and she's to thank for all of that. But I think the humanitarian inside of me, I mean, there's supposed to be a basic need also, right?
Is,
just like water, access to water, and all of these type of things. And I think I may have not really have experienced hunger, but I know of a lot of people who experienced hunger growing up. Abangan Bambi, and I don't want to name drop now.
Yeah.
But to me, it was so the mere bread, guys. Was
your mother working?
My mom was working. My mom was working for a confectionery for my whole school career.
Okay.
And then I think she left the confectionery around, I think I was early grade 10. Okay. And then she left. Then she didn't work for the confectionery. She was working, it was Pie City.
Oh, okay.
So she used to work there. There ends up a pie baking, like you can never tell my mom about a pie. So she's just always been there.
Yeah.
But she just found a way to provide somehow. I don't know how. And she was
Have
the
you
eldest
ever
daughter.
asked her about it?
Never.
What were you
actually, she should come for the luncheon. Eh?
Yeah, she
All
actually
of these things. Because she never really said a lot. And she I wouldn't really say she's one of the people who had a career to say I'm a lawyer or I'm a what.
Yeah.
She just took life as it come. But she also had me. I'm the first child, unplanned.
How many are you?
See, 3. There's 3 of us. I'm the first of 3.
Okay.
So it was just those type of situations where she has to make a plan.
Yeah.
You see, but I have to make a plan if I want to see her to have the best of everything. My dad, my biological father was there here and there. He'd send money whenever he would feel like it or whatever. I don't know. But my mom got married.
That's
and then
beautiful.
My stepdad is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like he filled that gap completely.
Yeah.
And when he came into the picture, it's just been great because I've never really experienced hunger, Mina.
You know, when you say that your mother got married, there was actually this thing on social media where they said they were asking a question that if you are a woman, you have a child with a different man, and then you get married, and then your child they have to graduate. You have to graduate as Sia.
Yeah.
And then obviously your biological father will always be your father despite the differences. Sometimes you would long that, I wish my biological father was here. And as we grow up, I actually realized that you get to forgive him for everything that he did. Sometimes you even try to reach out. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yet again, you appreciate the work that your stepfather is doing in your life. So you have 2 tickets for graduation.
2 tickets for graduation.
It has to be your mother and your father. Like, who would you choose? This man is your stepfather. He loves your mother. He raised you. He stepped up when your father couldn't step up.
Are you making me choose now?
But at the same time, you love your father. This is your biological father. And at some point you long and you wish that in your old age, you guys could reconcile and have that father-son relationship. And you don't want to offend the stepfather. Who are you going to choose?
It's actually funny that you're asking this because we actually have reconciled. Like we're speaking now.
Yeah.
I deleted his number because I was like, But now I have his number again and we speak.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I really feel like it's also a matter of the willingness.
Yeah.
I'm a dad now.
Oh, congratulations.
And I always say this to my girlfriend. As in, I'm not intending on leaving my daughter. Because I don't want her to experience life the way that I did.
Yeah.
But also, if I'm now to choose, is it my stepdad or my biological father, then I really feel the fact that my stepdad was willingly to take up those responsibilities that somebody else willingly abandoned, then it means that he probably deserves that. Yeah. I mean, I'd choose my stepdad. Because I feel like, I choose my stepdad because I feel like he voluntarily, just like the other one also chose for himself. Just like the other one chose voluntarily to right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's also good to be considerate of maybe a situation being unfavored, or maybe there's reasons why not, or why he disappeared or whatnot. But it doesn't change the fact that you missed out on so much in my life, and now I'm the one who's supposed to choose you.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little bit of a selfish decision to make with a, okay, so what's happening with Sia's life? All you do is ever just send money whenever you feel like it, but you know. But I do feel, geez, my brother, this is a very big lunch. Eh?
Yeah, it is.
This really is the lunch.
Yeah. Anything else?
No,
nothing else for now.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Cheers. Jeez. Bokamoso is all
I'll be fine. So, you're saying congratulations, man, on being a father. I saw you've got a very cute daughter. I think also with the history that you have, that your father wasn't there and so forth, are you intending on like raising your daughter like not in a blended family? Because according to my understanding, you are from a blended family because you're being raised by a stepfather.
Yeah.
Do you intend on raising all your kids in marriage? Like with the same person, or?
Yeah, hey, this is a very good one. Or kulmena before Zala.
Not at all.
I always say this to her, my girlfriend, Wuti. I am not now about to. I mean, I may have not been raised the way that I have adapted the values, but impilo we outside from people, and you're like, this is definitely not what I want, and maybe this is what I want, or maybe this can actually work.
Yeah.
But I'm in the process of accumulating independency, and I must say, Kulukulu has been so good to me. I've seen so much stuff, like I've accumulated so much for people my age. And in saying that, I don't think I'm now one of those people who are going to say, yes, and now, okay, I just want to do this first.
Yeah.
She's my, like, you know the elephant trunk story? Right? She's my responsibility. I want to raise her. I want to be there, present for her. Everything. In fact, she loves me so much. She loves me more than she loves the mom. I feel like that. Not that that's the case. I don't know. But it makes me so happy to be there and present.
Yeah.
It's not, doesn't have to be about money.
Yeah.
But it's not about money. It's about being there and being present. And I intend on being there myself. And I want to do that. It's a voluntary decision that I'm taking myself. And I wish so many men and guys out there would also adapt this as well. That's one of the things I'd advocate for if I'm going to go for Mr. South Africa.
Yeah, I think one of the scariest things for me is having a child. But like,
why?
At 23, I'm so scared.
You feel like he's teenage pregnant?
Yeah, it's still, it actually still feels like, you know, when I feel like people might have this thing, but you're probably sexually active, but as a woman, no, I am. When you actually fall pregnant as a woman, it's evidence that you are doing it and you're not protecting yourself. So those are one of the scariest things for me. So I think for someone like you who's 23, you know, when we grow up, we have kind of a formula that, you know, I want to be an accomplished career man, buy a house. You also bought an apartment, congratulations.
Thanks.
Buy a house, buy a car, and establish myself in my career, probably maybe, and have a child. Do you think the formula that you had in mind, if you ever had it, it's going the way that you had envisioned it, even if it's ruined somewhere else, but obviously you would appreciate this part of it because a child is a blessing, man. So do you think this is how you had envisioned your life, or it's even better?
Can I be honest with you? My girlfriend and I never planned to have a baby. And the sexual active parts, I mean, in South Africa, we're young, I don't want to speak about that. And just like, I don't think it's an uncomfortable conversation, but also at the very same time, it's one of the things that people shy away from. And as advocates of change, those are taboos that we need to dismantle. With me, I still have a simple and but now that I'm known for, well, with the people I work with, there always has to be a contingency plan. If something doesn't go the way that you have planned, then you need to have plan B.
Yeah.
Not that my child, this is crazy because plan B is supposed to be contraceptive. But it means you have to change so much in your life to accommodate these or welcome these new changes, right? I was scared when I discovered that we're pregnant because I'm like, we told our people you just bought an apartment, like isn't that right? But as I'm growing into the role, I'm also learning that maybe God has a bigger plan. To say this is how it's supposed to happen. Maybe I could have controlled myself and abstained and not become sexually active or not, but also
because now that you say we should dismantle the taboos around it, I think looking back now, did you and your partner have conversations around contraceptives, around prevention? And also, do you think it is very important for young couples, particularly who are sexually active, to have this? Because my chat would be that, I'm 23, I'm like, you know what, I'm still studying, and then it so happens that my partner and I, we happen to be pregnant. Either one of us gets to say, I don't want a child, I don't want to put my career on hold, I want to do this. Remember, both of us might be right. We have the right to express how we feel. He might say, I want the child, and I say, I don't want the child. So it means what's going to happen?
Conflict type of things. You are bored, and then the relationship, obviously, do you think it's very important to have those conversations before you can? Yes. And I regret not having that conversation with my partner. We never really spoke about contraceptives and those type of things. We've been together for 4 years now? 5 years. Yes. And we never really had those conversations, right? And I'd encourage that become a conversation also in your relationship if you probably are having these type of conversations.
Definitely.
Right? But if it's not a thing, then it just puts you in a position where you now have to find a solution to these problems. Right? But if you actually plan, then it means you stand a chance to at least mitigate whatever you're mitigating the best way that you know how. I truly believe kids are a blessing from God. And you really ought to run on that baby. People make mistakes, people abort, people terminate. And I because as you say, it's a matter of the readiness. But in all honesty, you can never really be ready for anything.
No, you can never.
Right?
Yeah.
You can never really be ready for anything. And this is one of the things that I feel as advocates of change, this is some of the things that we should also be having as conversations around routine. Yes, the government is giving contraceptives to people. Yes, the government is doing this. Yes, there's Plan B. Yes, there's. I saw on your Facebook at some point, I was like, comment, and I was like, you were asking about contraceptive methods. What?
Yeah, actually, that conversation really stems. It's like a personal story for me, but I'll just share because I did write it on Facebook. So in 2021, I remember after obviously I completed my matric, my mother was like, I'm taking you to the hospital to go and prevent. And the prevention period was for 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. There's what we call the IUD copper. It's a loop. They tie the mouth of your womb so that you don't fall pregnant. And it came from a good place because she knew that I'm going to varsity, and she was like, this is for 4 years. It means in this, if you do anything, don't come back with the child. If anything happens, you're not going to come back with the child. And that's what I really appreciate about my mother. She has been like, she wouldn't really talk about sex, but she would tell you, she's not a strict mother, honestly. She would tell you, if
everyone's a baby,
but these are the consequences. If you want to do this, do it. These are the good results of it. So when she took me there, they installed the IUD copper, and then I installed it for 4 years, and then this year,
that was.
Yeah, and then last year, it was actually for me to go and have it removed. When I got to the hospital, they tell me that they cannot find the strings of the IUD. They have gone missing. Then the nurse is like to me, are you pregnant? I'm like, no, I'm not pregnant. Had I been pregnant, the baby would be here right now, but I'm not pregnant. Then she says, we can't see the strings. We have to book you in, get you admitted so that we can go and remove the strings in theater. Go in theater. And okay, when I first installed this IUD copper, I had severe periods for like 10 days. I was bleeding for 10 days every single month. It was so painful to an extent that I felt like every time I got my periods, I should actually go to the hospital. But as years went by, it got better and then it didn't give me any issues. I started realizing that I'm actually developing lumps in my breast. Remember those prevention methods they have? Side effects.
Yeah.
Side effects that we don't even read about. And you would find that they have like an A3 paper of side effects only, but because you're like, man, this is something that is legalized, so it wouldn't harm me. That's when I decided to go to the internet to read about this IUD copper. I saw that one of them is like breast cancer, developing lumps in your breast. Then I realized that I'm actually developing lumps in my breast. What should I do? I went to consult to a doctor. They just said, these are just fibroids kind of things, but they will be painful and some of them will grow bigger. But then I was like, you know what, let me let it slide. After they told me that they cannot see the strings, we went to theater. I almost lost my life, guys, because of that. And then I decided to change the prevention method. I went to Evra patches. A lot of girls know that I'm scared of injections, so something that I can put on and forget about it, I'd really much appreciate it. So Evra patch, you change it after 7 days for 3 weeks in a month. When I changed to it, started being nauseous, vomiting, appetite change, headaches, acne, a whole lot of things. So when I started that conversation, I was actually going somewhere with it. But on the other hand, I'm like, you know what? Because I'm still going through tests with my lumps. After everything has been confirmed, that's when I can be able to share this information freely that, those pamphlets that they put in those boxes, they are very important. When you use any prevention method, you should be able to tell yourself, am I ready to experience this? Is this worth it? Because you have a choice to either abstain or become sexually active. Is this what I want to go through? One of the ladies who commented, she said it affected her fertility. She can no longer have babies because of these injections and so forth. We go through a lot actually with these preventions, but you just need to do your research. And because bodies are so different, it can treat me well and then the other one, it treats them badly. Hence I said to them, tell me what is it. So it was some form of a research for me as to say, I want to know what are they going through, what are the side effects, how are they treating them, and then come up with more like a survey, because I feel like people who are in the medical profession, they still have a lot of things to do to just help us, man. We go through a lot.
Thanks for sharing that. This is gonna live on social medias and what forever, and I think it's really brave of you to share that.
Yeah.
And I think as you're speaking, I'm thinking to myself, is Boka thinking about sharing this with me? Like, does she plan to share this, or she's just?
No, I do.
Because in my heart, I'm like, I'm a dad now.
Yeah.
And I have a daughter.
Yeah.
These are some of the things that we need to know, guys, as men also. Not only to support our partners, but also to be there for the people that need us to be there for them because of different stuff.
Yeah.
And I do think that as much as there's menstrual hygiene and education that is made available for women, the MECs and all of these people in the health space need to also be accommodative and also try to have some sort of methods that also teach these things to guys as well.
I do agree. I think every single time I try to engage my partner in it, because in as much as it's affecting me, it has to affect you. This part, but also these things have tendencies of reducing your sex drive as well. You no longer, because that's what I experienced with the Evra patch. My sex drive was like 0%. You want nothing to do with it. So it's very much important to engage your partner as to say, this is what's happening to me. And if you know about it, you would understand and you try to find ways of
to support.
It's very important that you, especially you are a father to a girl child. So Last night we were actually talking about period poverty. You know, Sis Gugu just launched her pet
Sis Gugu, Miss Mpumalanga.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, people, we have this mentality that period poverty has to do with women only. It also takes teaching boys, how do you treat a girl at school who just blotted on herself when she stands up on her chair and then there's a stain on her chair? How do you actually treat that? Because most of them, they even laugh. So you have to teach your boy child as well as to say, this is what you do, this is how you react, you cover hair, you do such things. Yeah.
I'm happy that you're going to that now, because another thing that we also need to speak about as a part of this, I mean, I called you here because we're having lunch, yes, but also because yes, we could, my brother. Thank you so much. One of the things that I want us also to touch base on is now that we've identified all of these different problems, we have been Misters and Mrs. We've done pageantry, we understand the pressure, we understand the pros, the cons, like everything that comes with pageantry. There's so much work to be done. And you know, we are 12 months it may be small to do so much. We just crowned Miss Mpumalanga Musha now. She's gonna have 12 months. Mr. Mpumalanga, like all of these things, they do offer these platforms to make these changes. But 12 months, it's not monitorable because it's very small.
Yeah.
These are some of the things that you're supposed to carry with you forever. Like these values, these drives, these goals. When since you left Miss Mpumalanga, and since probably for your whole life, you've advocated for substance abuse, gender-based violence, and all of these other things. But which theme has stood with you forever? Maybe you haven't tapped into it. What gap do you see yourself filling? I know you have an organization. Maybe you can also tell us about that. You know, George, that leadership organization. Yeah.
I think, man. I think the past few years I found myself being a part of so many organizations, and I think at some point we start with this fire that we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and then the flame it blows off. I don't know, maybe it's part of because we have other things to do. It's school, it's work, but I think as you said it, there's other things that we should do, and we should leave them. Actually, we should leave them. It shouldn't be. I think with us pageant girls, this is what I've realized. We always have the fire burning in us when it's time for us to enter pageants. We always have the fire burning when you know that, you know what, I want to be a finalist for Mr. South Africa. You start working now, you start being hard at work, but it's very good. The organization that we started with Claude, it's based on leadership. When we actually went to school, it was just as to say, leadership is influence. You know, we influence you where you are at. You don't have to be seen that you are a leader. You can lead in whichever sphere that you are in. You can lead at Rise FM. You can you can be the station manager for all you like, and also a presenter. You can also lead even as a radio presenter yourself without even being the head of something. That's what leadership is all about. And I think we go into these communities, we see, and it would see young girls and young boys, they actually have this thing of hiding behind their shoulder. When you actually step out and lead, when you actually advocate for the right things, guys, let's make a study session, let's do this, all the right things in high school particularly. It seems like you are not doing anything right.
So, Google Logo, yini into oyenzile since uphumile Miss Mpumalanga. Yes, the leadership thing, but I also do feel like something tangible is what we need. Something maybe not that people can see, but also maybe not something that makes you happy inside but something that has inception and that runs for a long time.
I think for me the biggest breakthrough, especially in my Zolobili program, it hasn't actually been that I got somebody rehabilitated. I always say that you cannot force somebody to recover. It has to be a personal decision that they make, because if you force them to go to rehab, eventually they will come back and relapse. But it has to be something that you want, that, you know what, I need help. Every single time, I remember when I was still Miss Mpumalanga, because the car was branded, I actually formed a lot of relationship with all the guys that are actually addicts, I know them by name, and every single time I pass that by, yes, but in summer I see I'm a popcorn. Every single time I pass by, hi researcher, hi whoever, how are you? I'm good, and how are you? And then I greet them, I buy whatever that I buy. Sometimes I even give them about R5, and I be like, when I pass here and I don't have money, remember that 5 that I gave you. So knowing their names, I get to form relationships with them. I think I spoke with one of the guys in the center, and he was like, you know what, I need to speak to you. And he even knows my number plate by head. He was like, every time we fit a mocha, so I'm like, we should actually have. He was like, I need to talk to you. I formed these relationships because I don't want to force them into recovery, but through humility that they receive from me, I need them to know that there's a safe space for them in me, and in them knowing so, they are going to be able to ask for help eventually when they do. Because when we actually get to sit down, I'm going to ask, why this? Why did you choose this life? How did you get here? And there's actually help for you. When you need it, you know where to find me. But this is the information that I can give you. And that has been one of my greatest breakthroughs. There's actually a boy last week who said, there's a guy who says he needs help, but he doesn't know how to get hold of you. And I'm like, when I go home, that's the first thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to go to him and say, is this truly what you want? Because I don't just want to do things for the sake of, you got a breakthrough, you got somebody rehabilitated. I want something that's going to change a person's life forever. As to say, I was talking Izolo as I was networking. I was talking to Mr. Nshabati and saying to him, you know what, it's good that I have this program, but after somebody gets rehabilitated, where to from here? Because the truth is that as well as my reasons behind why they went into stuff like that. And when we get to find the real issue, the root problem, we have to address it. Because when you go to rehabilitation, you go for therapy and stuff like that. So hence I said to him, I need stakeholders to come forth. If you own a driving school, if you own a skills center, there's people after they come back from rehab, they need to have something to look forward to, because if they don't, they might relapse, because you have to look forward to something now that your life has changed. What are you then doing?
No, that is also very important, because sometimes we overextend our hands. And right? I guess this just leads me to where I'm at in the conversation, right? The luncheon is one of my philanthropic efforts. It's a little brainchild of mine that I've been thinking about forever. I wanted to sit down with people. I want to sit down with the premier.
And you are.
I want to, and I will. I want to sit down with the MECs. I want to sit down with all of these people, and let's just have a conversation about what we can do. People run businesses. I know you do Letlotlo as well. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
This is massive, man. This is going big. You must supply water to mixology.
Please, can I please talk to the manager, to the owner?
Right? So there's just so much to be done, and everybody's so busy. We just all reaching out for something, but we don't get time. We don't get time. And one of these gaps that I've seen, and I feel like it's so easy to fill, and there's so much impact to be made in very little time, very little effort. We're seeing guys, buy bread, buy cheese, buy bologna, go to the corners. Make them sandwiches. They are on the quest. They're looking for jobs. The last thing that they want is to go back. Also, let them at least get something to eat. Right? So that's one of the things that I'm doing here, and I definitely want you to be a part of it. Just like I also want you to invite me. In fact, into your Toilet program. There's so much to be done, and I really feel like once we have these bigger conversations and see who's doing what, then it's easy. It makes it easier to support and to see how we can make it work. So, saying Luncheon, going on the streets, but you're not based in Bombela.
I'm not based in Bombela, but I think with such a great initiative, man.
It doesn't have to be here.
It doesn't have to be here. You just instill it in people. Everywhere where I go, I'll have Sia's words, right? And bread, colony, go to the streets and give them.
Okay, I send this on. I was thinking about this since I shot last week's episode on Luncheon. I want you to get yourself a t-shirt, Esona, have it printed out, and it's gonna be the luncheon with Boka. So this is mine. Like
This is yours.
you're gonna get yours. The brand is the luncheon,
Yeah.
but the job is you.
Yeah,
Your
it's
name
me.
is your commitment to
Yeah.
it. So I want you to please purchase your t-shirt. I'll get it done for you for 250. And then you, wherever you go, you do that. We're forming a community, we're forming a movement.
Yeah.
Is that doable?
It is doable, definitely.
You think you don't want to like maybe do it among time one day? It's yay.
Definitely, Uzongbon. Uzongbon.
Thank you so much, Moka. I think that's literally all I wanted you to pledge into. We're having lunch.
Yeah.
We're fortunate enough in Nkulunkulu to see that we have lunch.
Yeah.
But there's also people who wish that they can be in the spaces that we are in.
Yeah,
And
true.
it's just myopic and short-sighted to just close the door after
Yeah.
we go in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing lunch, man.
Thank you so much for having me for lunch.
Wait, before Hamba, what are we looking at? How's the year looking like for you? What are your plans?
Oh, yeah.
A baby?
Yeah, for me, a baby? No. I will call until there's something here, then we can start discussing.
Okay, you'll forget a mini pressure. I must go find something and have fingers to it.
No pressure, no pressure. But yeah, for me, it's always been like that.
Yeah.
Yes. So for me, I've recently joined a YouTube channel, a news channel, Access
I saw that.
News.
That's amazing.
And one thing I love about it, like, it has recently started, like you were starting out, and I've always, part of the things that I'm passionate about, I've always loved being a news anchor, a news
Yeah.
reader. And I think we all have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
We don't despise small beginnings. It doesn't matter if you have 3 subscribers on YouTube or 4. Eventually, whatever that you're doing, as you're doing this, you're gonna have awkward dates, babula season.
Oh yeah,
You're gonna
I was
get
watching
there.
that, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, you're gonna get there eventually, and with bigger numbers. So hence I'm saying that's Access News on YouTube. Also, I've studied, and this year I'm going full in with the Tolopolo program.
Yeah.
And I think my love for pageantry last night just got rejuvenated. Probably, I might enter a certain pageantry.
Aye.
Like, yeah, probably. It's a maybe. I'm not quite sure, because with pageantry, it comes a lot with it. So definitely looking forward to it.
So how do we support you with your YouTube channel? Do we subscribe?
Please subscribe on every Thursdays, 10 a.m. Do watch the live. On Instagram, on YouTube.
What happens? What do you cover? Is it like
I cover
everything?
business related, economics. Not really much on politics side, but we know politics affect businesses and the economy. So I cover business and the economy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And now we just had the budget speech. Hey,
Yeah,
There's so
actually
much.
we covered the budget speech last week Thursday.
Yeah.
There's just so much.
there's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much to be done. But thank you for having lunch with me, man.
Yeah.
As we wrap up, I don't know, do you have any last words that you'd like to share? This is going to live on YouTube, so I know your followers are going to be there. Bokamoso. What would you like to say to them, and then we can just call it a day?
Well, hi guys. Advice us I'm kidding, guys. I always live by the words of Viola Davis. Everything that you want is on the other side of fear.
Yeah.
And I say, don't be afraid to start, to begin. No big thing just blossomed out of the blue. Everybody started somewhere. So if it means you want that podcast, don't say, the space in my podcast is overpopulated. Everybody's graced for whatever thing that they want to do. You are graced for this. Even if somebody was to come and do it, they won't do it like you do it. Even if it gets overpopulated, there's no any other Siyamukwena who's going to do it better than you. So you are graced for this. If you want to start in anything, even in business. If you think the makeup industry, you have the grace for your own people, for your own clients, for your own audience. Just start.
And whatever you think about, God will provide.
Exactly.
Yes. Thank you so much, Boka.
Thank you
We're
so
calling
much.
it the Luncheon.
The Luncheon. Thank you.
The Luncheon with Sia Mukwena.